Good morning and welcome to my presentation on Listenwise. Listenwise is a technology that I hope you will learn more about during this presentation and that I hope you will support for implementation next academic year. My name is Andrew and I'm a social studies teacher and I look forward to talking to you about this. So Listenwise is applicable to students in grades 5 through 12 in the subject areas of English language arts, social studies, science, and it can also be used in an ESL classroom or for ELL students integrated into a regular classroom. So we know from the standard mentioned right here that both reading and listening are important parts of literacy. So we know students should have a ability to comprehend language when reading or listening. And this picture reminds us that not all students can maintain engagement and attention while reading. So listening activities can be a really great complement to reading in various classrooms. So, what does Listenwise do? Well, the purpose of Listenwise is to advance literacy learning and listening comprehension through podcasts. And these podcasts are built into standards-based lessons. So, the platform is an award-winning system that features a library of over 1,500 curated podcasts on topics such as literature, current events, social studies, and science. So, let's say students listen to an NPR story. They'll listen to that story while they're reading along with an interactive transcript. And this will build skills in active listening, listening comprehension, critical thinking, vocabulary, recall, extended thinking, and of course, it will build content knowledge. So, the way it works is that the teacher will introduce the story and activate prior knowledge. Students will then listen to the podcast. They'll read along with that interactive transcript while they're listening. They may also have a listening guide that they complete, which guides their listening. And then they can discuss the story among their group or as a whole class. And all along the way, they may be completing listening assessments to assess their comprehension, vocabulary, different skills. So, how easy is Listenwise to use? Well, it's very easy. One because it's fully online, and students actually are listening to engaging, real world stories. So I think it's pretty easy to get students to listen to something that's interesting. At the same time, we know that students are often able to listen to something that is 2 to 3 grade levels above their reading level. And so listening to something more advanced promotes their reading because they're listening to something at a higher level, but they're still reading that text. So it's pulling up their reading skills while they're listening. That's really easy for teachers to tackle two things. Interactive transcripts, those are really amazing because they allow students to read along, and when they're reading, they can click any word for a vocabulary definition. You'll see in this picture right here that it also has a feature where students can choose to listen to the story at a slower pace. So this is particularly useful for ESL students who do not speak English as a first language because they can slow down that audio and pick up more of the words and comprehend more if they wish to slow it down. The technology is fully online and it can be accessed anywhere using a computer or tablet device at any time. Every student using Listenwise has their own account, and so they complete all of the activities, assessments, and assignments in that platform under their own account, so everything stays in the same place. So that's really easy for them and for a teacher. And then finally, students can listen individually using headphones, or they can listen as a whole class if they want. All right, let's talk a little bit about pricing and details. So you can purchase this technology as a single teacher, and it's $2.99 per year for one subject or $3.99 for all subjects. I'm hoping we can purchase a school-wide license because I think it's a really great value. So the school-wide license comes with all subjects and access for all teachers and students, and the pricing is based on the number of students we have in the school. There's also discounts if we elect for a multi-year subscription. And then eventually, if this is something the entire district wants to adopt, there's also district-wide subscriptions. The really great thing I want to mention is that ListenWide provides a pilot program. So if we would like, we can actually get a 30-day free trial and try this out and see how our students respond before committing to investing funds in this. So who are our target audiences and what are they going to get from this? Of course, students. Students are going to be more engaged because they're listening and because they're listening to exciting real-world stories. It really is a great alternative or complement for students who struggle with attention issues while just reading a text that's right in front of them and having no audio. It enhances oral communication skills, which, as I mentioned, are a part of literacy. It can be individualized or collaborative. So if you have students who really are independent learners, you can give them a lesson that they listen to on their own, or if you want to push those students to be a little more collaborative, you can make the lesson something that the whole class listens to and discusses together. And again, ESL students, this is just so great for ESL students because they really benefit from having that interactive transcript. Now for teachers get a ton of freedom and choice because there's over 1,500 podcasts, so they can choose the ones that most align to their curriculum. It also includes everything that is needed in the platform. So teacher has the introductory activities, main activities, assessments, graphic organizers, and the group activities that are all built right into the platform. So the teacher really doesn't have to create anything. Another really great thing for teachers is that it allows them to collect data instantly through auto-scored embedded assessments and reports. So you see an example of that right here on the left. And those assessments actually will break down the questions by skill. So teachers can actually diagnose which listening skills need the most work. For example, main idea or inferencing. If those are a little bit weaker, then a teacher can design other lessons that target those skills. And then finally, just because it's a listening activity, this allows a teacher to keep students on task a little more easily than another type of activity could. So how do we use this? So it's entirely online. So it is a 100% web-based platform. So all you need is a computer, iPad, internet connection, and browser. There's no downloads that you need. Every student has that individual account. And then if students need headphones, one great thing is that Listenwise actually partners with Caliphone Headphone Company. So if at some point we would like to order headphones in bulk for our students, we can do that as well. So finally, we arrive at what I think is the most important component, which is supporting instructional goals. So as we already know from that standard I mentioned, listening is considered a standard and a fundamental component of literacy in Florida and a lot of other states actually. The research shows that students, again, read at 2 to 3 grade levels listen at 2 to 3 grade levels above their reading levels. And again, that listening can pull up those reading skills. In fact, there's over 23 research studies that show reading and listening comprehension are intrinsically linked. So what it boils down to is that better listeners make for better readers. In fact, a study by the Audio Publishers Association found that listening while reading increases accuracy by 52% and comprehension by a whopping 76%. All teachers should strive for differentiated instruction. That should be a goal for all teachers. And ListenWise inherently promotes differentiated instruction because not only is it providing that visual learning because students are reading along, it also is engaging those auditory learners. It assesses multiple components of literacy that are all mentioned here. And again, I can't emphasize enough that it's a great equalizer for ELL students. So a teacher actually can choose tiered vocabulary. For instance, if a teacher wants to give tier 1 vocabulary to their ELL students, ListenWise will actually input a little bit easier vocabulary words into the story for those learners so that they're able to pick up more vocabulary. Whereas if you have another group of students who are a little more advanced, then you can assign them a higher tier of vocabulary, and then ListenWise will input more challenging vocabulary, so they're really pushing themselves to learn more difficult words. And finally, scaffolding is really built right into the platform because it allows you to start with building background knowledge. Then it allows students to do close listening and they can listen more than once and gather more each time. And it also provides those graphic organizers that guide, kind of sort of provide guided practice for those students. And I just want to leave you with a video demonstration of how this technology works. It'll sort of walk through a demonstration of how students would complete a story activity. So I hope you learned a lot from this presentation, and I hope you see the tremendous value in Listenwise that I do. And I look forward to hopefully integrating this next year. Thank you so much.